Yeah, I've been thinking about this e-bike voucher program and trying to find funding for it and that kind of thing. And now with the tariffs and the e-bike industry quite China linked, it's gonna be.
Once you know we're live streaming.
Oh, thank you.
You didn't say anything appropriate, just let me.
Yeah. It might be complicated.
Yeah, yeah, I know that e-bikes and scooters are huge in that part of the world. So it makes sense that they would, be the sort of bulk of the manufacturing of them, so. And how that all plays out.
Yeah.
We'll wait another minute, I know Ella
I
said.
think there's a few people here, I'm just trying to,
Okay.
get them, here we go, okay. Participants and all.
It's like EJ's on there twice.
Yes, I am on twice because I haven't had a chance to eat lunch today. So I'm going to listen while I go fix lunch and then come back and finish eating it
Gotcha.
here. Okay.
Follow.
Okay.
We're just gonna give Ella another few minutes because she's running a little late. The agenda's not particularly packed with stuff, so we'll just wait a minute.
Cool. So we're doing a little bit of an experiment. So right now I'm live streaming from my phone. There's, in a couple of months, I'm not gonna be able to make it to Complete Streets. I've got a conflict. So
Okay.
I wanted to see if we gave you the ability to live stream, if you would be able to do it like phone. And it looks like it does work.
Okay.
So that's cool. So you don't need me for my live streaming skills.
Okay.
So we can, that's not the next month, it's the month after, so we don't have to decide it. But I was just doing a little bit of technology experiment.
All right, interesting.
Yes.
What's the conflict?
It may be a ribbon cutting for post office park.
Oh, that's
You'll
fun.
all be invited to that, but that's the one, right now, that's the day that we're holding on our calendar, that's when the mayor's available, and Lindsay's available, so.
Okay.
But we'll know more when we get closer.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Mhm.
So I have the agenda as a PDF. Sorry if you have already explained this before.
Do you want the,
Yeah, we have it. We always have it on the shared drive too, so we can get you that and you'll be able to edit it and make notes.
Yeah. Is there like a folder that
Yeah.
things go in?
I think I've basically been always using the old sidewalks folder.
Oh.
Is that not, do we have another folder?
There's a folder just called Complete Streets Advisory.
Oh, okay.
and All kinds of stuff in here, that's nice.
I think I've shared you all that link.
Yeah,
Let me know if you want me to resend that out.
no, I should just dig around there and make sure all the stuff I share or save is.
Sorry, I just dropped my phone.
Oh, no, it's okay. I think it always defaulted to the sidewalk task force folder, and I just kind of stayed using that, but.
And you're not in the Zoom, are you?
No.
Okay.
Should I?
No, I was gonna chat chat you the link to the meeting notes. I'll send that to everybody else.
Oh, sure.
I could
All right, here.
email them to you.
Agendas/notes folder.
Yeah.
And today is for 9.
That's it.
It's there? Okay, good. I guess I have to sitting in the right place.
I've been putting in.
Oh, really?
a shortcut every time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the short.
All right, I should. I'll do the folder side by side and move things that should be in one.
That would be awesome. All right.
All right, well, we can just go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. Looks like Brian's joined, which is great. I see Gustavo, Ezra, and EJ. All right, great. So there's no guests in the room. I don't think we're expecting any, so that's fine. No public comments. In terms of administrative business, I don't believe there is anything unless there's any items that anyone wanted to bring up sort of ad hoc.
I could encourage you all to look for, do we have, maybe I shouldn't encourage you to look for more members. You might have one, I don't actually have my book with me today, so I don't know how many open seats you have.
I think, I mean, I always look in the mayor's weekly newsletter and I don't think we're listed there.
Yeah, that happens when I tell them.
Oh, okay, all right.
But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think you have one open chair. I think this is a committee of 9. I think you've got one. So,
Okay.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, I believe we have one seat open. I think you're right.
so that's an administrative business. If you guys,
Sure, of
you know,
course.
for another member.
Yeah, if anyone knows of anyone who might be interested, you seem to.
Oh, yeah, I keep telling friends like, oh, you should really check out CSAC. As soon as there's a vacancy, I'll let you
All
know.
right, well, there you go. Anyone is more than welcome to spread the word. Always use more interested participants, so.
I could always use commissioners for Live Well Kingston too. I'll put that out there. So if you know lots of people that are interested in other social determinants of health. Hey, how's it
Alright.
going? Hi. How them connect with me?
All right, great. We're just discussing that there's one open seat just for
Oh, yeah.
knowledge in case there's anyone you know who might be interested. So then the next item was grant application update.
Yeah, and I got it for you this time, so I can share that. Here is a few printed copies. I think they got a little bit cut off, but I think you prefer, thank you, looking at
Yeah, sure.
paper. Look at it this way, that on the screen, for those that are watching and on Zoom. The info in red is the new stuff.
All in the back, right?
Well, what got cut off on this page, if you look up at the screen,
Oh, gotcha.
so we have no new grant awards since February. And then we've already talked about this here, but this is it's like that blurb about the congressionally directed spending for Flatbush and Foxhall. That was the letter of support you all were, that you did send, but we're all discussing. And so here's that technical language that Ruth Ann added, that the project has been placed on the final Senate federal budget list at 1 million for approval in the 2025 budget. However, the current administration removed all CDS funding in the temporary spending bill passed in March. The city was advised to resubmit those requests for consideration in the 26 budget. Applications were submitted to the Senate during the first week of April. It has not yet been announced whether the House will accept the requests. So that's the only real new information there, is just that it's now been submitted.
Does the city have a sort of position on resubmission of this sort of thing, and sort of in terms of cleaning out language that the administration might not like, or are they sort of sticking to their guns? Is there a sort of position on that one way or the other?
Not that I'm aware of. So no, staff has not been notified of any kind of official stance or anything. I don't know if that conversation is happening or not. It's happening.
Okay.
Then pending awards, so let's see here. This is the sidewalk improvement district. So, if you all recall, funding was allocated in the city's engineering budget, and at the same time, we applied for funding to do the plan, and we did not receive that funding. So it's good that that funding got allocated in the budget, so the project will go forward. This is for the sidewalk improvement.
And that was like, it was done both ways as kind of like a backup, or
Well,
was
if
it
there's
not
a,
known? Yeah,
well, if there's a grant funding potential, I think the city always tries to. So my understanding is the mayor allocated the funds, the project's
Right.
moving forward, but we saw this grant opportunity, why not take it and see if
Right,
we
right,
got,
right.
and then if we got those funds, we would use that and then release the other funds, but we didn't get it going back to
so
plan A.
we're still moving forward with plan A.
Exactly.
All right.
So state grant?
It was a state grant. It was, the ESC, I think it's Empire State Economic Development, I think is what it is. It's also the same source that I think they did the parking plan. And so one thought I think was that we didn't get this planning funds because we had just received funds for the parking plan. But we do not, but Ruth Ann is going to ask for a debrief and find out why we didn't get it.
Alright.
Safe Streets for All. And, let's see, Ruth Ann says that the new round is currently open June 26th. The city is assessing the staff capacity needed to prepare an application versus the likelihood of winning a grant. The chances may not be strong due to questions surrounding federal funding and the city of Kingston's total average fatality rate calculated through the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration's Fatality Analysis Reporting System. It's a big sentence. Kingston's rate is lower than the level that would receive priority scoring. If we move ahead, the request will be for funding to develop a City of Kingston action plan, which is required as part of applications for implementation grants. Meanwhile, the county plans to submit for funding to update an existing action plan, which would potentially support a future City of Kingston Safe Streets for All implementation request. So, sounds like, long story short, we're not sure how competitive we'll be, and the county's doing some similar work.
Yeah,
I
if
see.
you'd like, I can just offer a little additional information. The county in this instance is me, and we are resubmitting our previous Safe Streets for All planning grant proposal that would cover all municipalities in Ulster County. There's a lot of confusion and contradiction, unfortunately, in the guidance. The guidance encourages us to submit regional applications, and yet, which is what we did last time, and yet they didn't award our regional application, but they awarded a town of Lloyd. So it's so we're working through it, and I'm communicating regularly with Ruth Ann.
Alright. Thanks. Thanks for that update.
Hey, Elizabeth, EJ, I'm gonna mute you, okay? We hear some feedback.
I think it might be that, she was on 2, she might have just been talking on the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
So,
Alright, yeah, thanks, Brian.
then it looks like there's no updates for the trail, and then CDGB entitlement funds. This is submitted a request for restoration of sidewalks around Academy Green, and the CDGB Commission accepted the request, which will have final public and HUD, I forget what HUD stands for, review in May. Under normal circumstances, the project would likely move forward. However, CDGB funding may be negatively impacted with the current Dodge federal cuts. So the City of Kingston has a CDGB commission. These are sort of like development block grant funds that the city gets allocated every year. This is a very sophisticated formula for how much the city gets allocated. What I'm reading through this is that on a normal year, it would be very much accepted, but they're really concerned about those funds right now.
Right.
What's CDBG? Community Development Block Grant.
Okay. Oh, and HUD is housing
Housing
and
and
urban development?
Ding, 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 ding.
So CDBG is a Kingston commission, or is it?
Let me see if I get this. It's federal funding. Maybe it comes through the state. I'm not entirely sure about that. Each municipality that receives those funds, I believe, has a committee that decides how it gets allocated. That's what I mean by that.
Yeah.
Part of Post Office Park was funded with CDGB, and so technically my department wrote an application to another department in the city of Kingston, got approved, and sort of I have to report to them for those funds.
Right.
There's many different city sort of branches that are almost quasi-separated and independent. That's one that it's like they are a little bit separated from the other departments, and like that committee decides how those funds are allocated.
I'm just wondering who's on the CDBG commission.
Can you look that up?
Just curious. It'd be fun to invite them.
Okay, Office of Community Development. The block grant program. Advisory committee meetings are, it's on this page, it says when the meetings are held. Here is the advisory committee. So it looks like it's some older people and maybe some community members. So Steve Shabbat, Sarah Pasty, Michael Tierney, Jeannie Edwards, Michelle Hirsch are all older people. And that looks like maybe 3 community members.
Interesting.
Learn something new about our local government every day.
All right.
Right? Any questions about the grant update?
No, nothing for me.
Oh, Ezra, was your hand up from earlier?
Yeah, just because you mentioned the post office park, I did just want to ask if you know, or if anyone else knows, is there plans for putting in benches or anything? Because there isn't really anywhere to sit, I noticed earlier today or yesterday.
You want me to cover that?
Sure, yeah,
Yeah.
I think you probably know best.
Yeah, Ezra, I'm the project manager. The project is going a little bit longer than we had hoped, but we hope to have a ribbon cutting this spring. Benches, bike racks, signage, are all still coming. There's a few other, kind of punch list items, as we call it. So some of the concrete is going to be resurfaced. We're trying to bring electric onto the site. So there's still a few other set of sort of less visible things that still have to happen on site, but hopefully all those amenities should happen in the next few weeks.
Okay, very cool, very cool.
Let's say next month. Let's give myself a little more.
Okay, thank you.
Monument, right, that was approved,
Mhm.
yeah.
There's a sculpture coming in that
Right.
is representative of the little post office that's going up. That's on the Dallas side. We do not currently have art on the Millard building side.
Mhm.
That's for the Arts Commission to figure out in the future.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
All right, great. Okay, so the next item was our signage, our yard sign that we were able to borrow from the city of Seattle. They're very gracious to basically give us freedom to use that signage. So I think, Emily, you're able to add our logos and it should be ready to go, right?
Yeah, I've ordered them, so I've ordered 30 signs. I was just looking quickly to see if I could find the graphic to bring up on the screen. I might not be able to do it fast enough, but it's a really nice graphic.
Yeah, it really is.
We added complete streets, Live Well Kingston, City of Kingston,
The grant, some grant.
and the grant,
Yeah.
the Creating Healthy Schools and Communities grant logos on the
Right.
bottom, which I think also looks like it's good because it's lots of partnerships. Or 30 of them from a local MWBE, which stands for Minority Women Business Owned Company. The grant has special allocations for people that are registered through the New York State system. So it's not only local, but it's also MWBE that is producing the signs.
Great.
It's awesome. It's really great too.
And then do we have a ETA on how long it'll take to get them?
They're pretty fast. I anticipate a week or two.
Oh, wow, all right, great.
I'll send an email out to you all. I'll have them at my office. You all can come and pick them up,
Yeah.
or I'll bring them to the next meeting.
All right, and then basically in terms of installation, we just agreed to whoever can take one, or as many as you can, and we'll just kind of put them around and track where they are, right? So that we can then remove them at some point if we need to.
And maybe be a little bit careful about private property.
Yeah,
So when you guys do place them, the mayor told me to let our other departments know so that they don't remove them, because technically other people are not supposed to put yard sign on public property. So, but we're gonna tell them that it's been approved and to not remove them. But like maybe don't put it in someone's front yard. But
we can put it in our own private property, right?
For sure, you can put it in
Okay.
your own private property, but like, I think we could, like Academy Green comes to mind. I've put signs along that area because that's very hard.
Yeah, Cornell, which I live near, honestly going up Works, people come off the bridge, that'd be a great place to.
But, be a little sensitive about.
Yeah.
Some people.
Walgreens lawn is a free-for-all sign-wise.
They don't seem to enforce.
Yeah, certainly during election season. All right, great. Yeah, so we have sent updated letters for Foxhall Flatbush, taking some language that Gustavo gave to to sort of, voice that we still as a group have reservations about the plan as it stands now, but hoping that there is still some room for work on the plan before they're implemented. But that the funding, hopefully the city will receive it so that something will be done on Foxhall and Flatbush. Yeah, so I think, I was understanding of people's hesitation. And obviously there's a lot of back and forth on the plans as they stood now, but they're still not finalized technically. So, I think there is still some room for discussion on those, which I hope, we hope to have John back at some point and to further, some of the points that people have made over email.
And another kind of slightly tangential thought was that, some of I really like some of the aspects of the plan, especially like doing like modal filters at the end of Cornell and Elmendorf, I think it was, where they just kind of, they basically block it off to cars, but people, on foot or bike can
Right.
still get through. So, so that could potentially be a tactical urbanism project as well, to kind of, test that out and, before like putting it in concrete, testing it out. So we could add that, I haven't added that to the, to our document of, ideas for tactical urbanism, but it's an idea, so. Yeah. Even if we don't get the $1 million, we can still do something.
Yeah, I think that would definitely require input, from the city because you're sort
Yeah.
of changing traffic
Yeah.
patterns.
I mean, that would be like, I think John would have to be,
Yeah, like, I sort of see whenever there's,
yeah.
the addition of a stop sign or like when the traffic patterns change, like on Prince Street, there's sort of, double flags to draw attention to whatever's changed, the double
Yeah.
orange flags. I think would definitely have to be sort of whatever the safest way to
Yeah.
implement it.
And like I've seen, well, it could just be like, those, what are those called, those barriers, like on the hobby horse, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the temporary barrier, and then, but even like a semi-permanent thing, there could be like a concrete, there could be concrete or rocks, but then I've seen it where they take those flex posts that have, reflectors on them and just put like a ton of them all around so that people can really
Yeah,
see it,
kind of like where they built out the corner at the old West Church.
Yeah, and maybe even make like, we could talk about that more, but yeah, for sure. It would have to be very visible. So
Yeah.
people could.
I just worry, like,
living there. Yeah.
it's a funny thing because if you change a sort of traffic pattern like that and you just have a hobby horse, people are just gonna move it and then just keep driving. Like sort of how in the Rondout on the Strand where it keeps going, it always floods and it always has a sign that says like road closed due to flooding, and then people just like
People move it out of the way.
So yeah, it's like this kind of fine
Yeah,
line
that's
you're gonna have to walk,
Yeah.
but that could be discussed.
What was that term you used? You said you like the use filter?
Modal filter, so it's like, basically it's filtering. It's like, when you take your chemistry class, you see different types of filtering, so. So it's not gonna let cars through, but it'll let everyone else through.
And specifically, you're talking about Cornell,
Yeah.
where Flatbush meets Cornell.
Right after the
Oh,
train
Foxhall
tracks,
meets
right?
Cornell.
Foxhall meets Cornell, yeah, and they also have one at Elmendorf where it meets
Right,
Flatbush.
and they were gonna, basically block that
Block it
intersection
off,
for
yeah.
half of.
Yeah,
Right.
Which is
Yeah.
kind of controversial.
yeah,
So it would be,
yeah.
you could even, this of course, we'd have to have a conversation with John about this.
Yeah.
But it could be an interesting temporary setup, and then you could try to record traffic patterns.
Yeah,
I don't know how he would feel about, that's a pretty drastic street change, so I don't know how he would feel. we have to talk.
The fact, if this plan ends up, if the plan ends up,
Oh, and Brian.
goes further towards implementation, he might be more amenable to the idea because it's something that's gonna actually happen, something you sort of like work towards it slowly.
Yeah. And then I think they could see how public respond to it, but also I think sometimes when people actually experience something, they realize it's not as bad as they thought it would be.
Yeah, that's the hope. Brian, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, the only minor detail I was going to add that I learned in doing the Kingston Railroad Safety Study was Cornell Street is part of a truck route, a New York State truck route for large trucks, and they do get a lot of deliveries at some of those businesses on Cornell Street. So I think it remains to be seen whether DOT would allow that closure at Cornell and Flatbush. So we'll look to John for an update there.
Okay.
But to your point, the other one, that's not at a train crossing, which is at that sort of 5-way intersection where, I don't know the names of the roads, Flatbush, it's up toward the north of Flatbush. I can look at.
Yes, it's kind of in that little short block there going towards Albany Ave between,
Was that the one
It's a
where
confusing
Here,
area.
I
we had some people who lived there come to a meeting one time?
I think that,
And their
Yes.
yard was getting cut off?
I think they were
Yeah.
concerned about how they would turn around.
Yes, I think that they did not like the idea.
Yeah.
So maybe that one is a more available, I think it's right here.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's, I think the idea is blocking off Elmendorf
Yeah,
from here, so this is just local traffic.
yeah.
And that might be a more,
Can you drop the little guide so we can see that street view?
sure. Drop the little guy. So.
Or it could also be, I mean, I'm just spitballing, but it could be like one block down from there, they cut it off so that people can get in and out, but I still can't go through.
I think this, it's also about the timing of the lights at this intersection. By closing this off, there's less time needed in the cycle.
Oh, I see.
So then you can, that's my memory, so that's part of the calculations. They're trying, it was taking too long for the cycle to go through the full thing. So that was one advantage to closing up that street. That's part of what I remember. And then maybe also it's about turn lanes, maybe that was part of it also, you could save street width.
Mhm.
but not
Right,
having
you wouldn't need that
permanent
turn lane there.
lane. Right, that might be part of it. I don't quote me on any of those, we'd have to talk to John about it, but I think that there was a reason that it was that intersection and not other ones. But I would add it to the Excel spreadsheet and keep thinking about it.
Yeah. All right, let's see, the next one was the NYSERDA Clean Mobility Grant.
Yeah,
We have a survey for that people can access until May.
yeah, can I say a
I
few
don't
things
think
about
I've
that?
done that yet.
What is it?
Yeah,
I
can I?
haven't seen it yet.
So I'm the project manager for it. That's not the right one that I wanted, I wanted the engage page. So we just launched this project. This is the Clean Mobility Grant that we got from. No, sorry, I'm trying to do two different things at once. This is the NYSERDA grant that we received, we're calling it's Clean Mobility. It could potentially be a shared system. We're not sure if it would be a
Right.
bike system. There's other things worth considering, like my ultimate goal is to get more people to walk and bike.
Mhm.
Maybe it's not a shared system, maybe it's a rebate program so that bikes and scooters are more accessible.
Right, yeah, but Denver does the rebate, is that what it was?
Denver, Atlanta, and
Yeah.
Boston, I think.
Yeah, that's great.
But I do think that there is a real want for tourism access to a shared system.
Yeah.
So we're asking the consultant, part of the planning process is for them to really see what is viable in the city of Kingston. Like,
Are they who set up the survey? The consultant?
Yes. So if you go to Engage Kingston, here's all about the project. And my call to action is to please go take the survey. We have it in English and Spanish. I have some flyers for anybody here in person, and I've emailed a whole bunch of you. Please let me know if you didn't get it. If you're able to email friends, post a social media post, put up a flyer for me, any way that you can help me get the word out, I would appreciate it. That's my ask.
Okay.
Oh,
I was in Spanish.
yeah, and I can print out more. But we can get it off of here.
I gotta work on this.
Anybody have any questions about this project? I'm quite excited about it.
Well, I have a, I don't know if it's a question, I guess it's more of a comment, but I think that, you know, in my mind, I was kind of like, okay, well, you know, I get the tourism thing and maybe having a bike share near the trail or something, and then I was thinking, well, you know, I think that people who live here could also benefit from that, and maybe there could be some kind of subsidy for them, because, you know, I could just imagine people like wanting to get to the O&W rail trail, but not being able to get their own bike there or something. So is that something you're thinking of doing?
Yeah, so right now, we're very much just in the, like, I would call it brainstorming stage. So assessment also of like what's available, what's not, but also brainstorming of like what is possible here in the city. So to me, it sort of feels like it's two categories: a shared system and or like an avenue to be able to make it more affordable to purchase them. Within that shared system, that could be done in many different ways. It could be just bikes, it could be just scooters, it could be electric, it could not. It could be a dock system or a dockless system. So there's many different factors that we do not know if we go down that road.
Okay. All right.
Brendan has done some really great reflection on how these programs work. And I've asked the consultants to really almost like prove to us that it is, if we did a shared system, that it would be quote unquote successful. For example, how many times does a bike need to be written in order for it to justify this project to run? I'm not convinced that a city our size without a college can really support that.
Yeah.
So, but maybe there's a not-for-profit version, maybe the YMCA has a fleet that's rentable, maybe we now have 3 bike shops, maybe each location has a fleet of 10 bikes and it's all the same system.
Yeah.
You know, so maybe there's a light version. We don't know yet, and that's why we've hired these really smart people to look at the big picture and see what would be a good fit for us.
Yeah, it is really interesting just to think about, what would work here, like
Yeah.
what is the appetite? It's
Yes.
hard to gauge it because nothing exists now, so it's like,
Yeah.
if you introduce it, will people flock to it, will it be successful, is it something that people want?
There's some very good report, and one in particular, really excellent, long report on like how to set up a successful bike share program. That, goes through a whole bunch of systems in different cities and compares them on all these metrics, rides per day, density, all this kind of thing. It's an excellent document, and that's sort of what I based my analysis on. But yeah, and like I would add to that like bike library is sort of this other pole of possibility, and it's neat, these ideas that are sort of in between bike library and bike share, like distributed bike library. Yeah, it's cool.
Did you send that on email as well?
I think I just sent it to Emily, and then Emily sent it to the consultant. It was like a paper napkin model that I did so one evening, and then it really blew up. So
Can you
I'd
send
be
it?
happy to share it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you set a time to meet with them?
Yeah, I met with them yesterday.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it was great.
Cool, all right.
Yeah, it was very friendly, and they were interested in and they asked questions about the model that I felt like I had pretty reasonable answers to.
Yeah.
So it was good.
Cool.
Alright, yeah, maybe we can discuss that next meeting, maybe more formally, I guess, or should we? Can you discuss what you discussed with them now, or?
Sure, yeah. I mean,
Sorry to put you on the spot, but.
no, it's good. I mean, really mostly what they were asking me like about this model.
Yeah,
And so like, I created out of this like long report that has like all these data points for all these cities,
Mhm.
I picked out what are the lowest density and smallest cities in that list. The things most likely to be comparable to Kingston.
Yeah, like what were some of them?
Portland, Oregon, Madison, Wisconsin, Atlanta, Birmingham, Fargo, Boulder, all of which notably substantially larger than
Yeah.
Kingston, New York, and in many cases substantially more dense. And in all of those cases, importantly, the service area is only a small portion of the city, like 25-30% of the city,
Right.
which is actually just like
Yeah.
the densest part
Right.
Yeah.
of Boulder, you know, which is
Which then might be the size of Kingston.
sure, and a lot more dense than anywhere in Kingston.
Yeah.
There's not that multi-use density around us.
Right, right.
That-
Yeah,
I think what
Yeah.
the consultants brought up, like, what's the real hip ski place out in Utah? Aspen, and I was like, that's great, but like, that is a tourist mecca.
Oh, yeah.
That's,
yeah.
you can't even compare us to them. And also, I think a college, so New Paltz,
Mhm.
maybe you could, it's a little more justifiable if you have a college, but we don't have, we have SUNY Ulster, but we don't have
Mhm.
Bard, Vassar, or Marist in our city. That would change the justification or the dynamic, I think.
Bard could have a killer bike share program.
You know, I'm still open, since this is such a cool, nice sort of program where multiple regional places are going through the same process at the same time. Dutchess County is considering this, and SUNY Ulster, SUNY New Paltz is doing a planning project. If, I keep sort of bringing up, if we could come up with a shared system that all of these places all adopt, let's consider it. Let's see if you can rent a bike at the Poughkeepsie train station and bring it up to Kingston and go over to Dutchess County to Bard. Maybe there's something that we can come up with.
Mhm.
So I think I'm really optimistic that there might be some neat, they might have some neat recommendations in this plan that are a little bit out of the box. Cool, yeah.
And then the sort of the other tab was cost modeling, cost benefit modeling. And so I used there was a study of like what is the average like per bike administrative costs of the Denver system.
Mhm.
And so I said, okay, let's just like use that. Their numbers are like, they run a pretty efficient system. And so like, that's like a low estimate of what this might cost. And I'm trying to be generous
Yeah.
to this program. So I'm like, sure, let's pick a low number and let's see if we can demonstrate some kind of feasibility that way. And then, added typical bike costs, some theft and vandalism rate, some maintenance replacement rate,
Right.
and then use data about the size and density of Kingston to talk about like what kind of bike density we would need to achieve and how many rides per day we would need to get.
Yeah.
And they were just really asking like, what, how did you get these numbers? Like, what do you think? And they also had which, they were all sort of like heuristic and empirical, mostly from that report. But, they had some, they were talking, they were generally interested in learning more about the sort of the layout of Kingston, what are like the denser areas, what is the interconnectivity of Kingston like? And also they were, one of their big outstanding questions, I think, is, are people likely to be angry about the idea of dockless
Yeah.
mobility devices?
Ezra has a question. Ezra, do you want to jump in?
Well, first off, I just want to say thank you so much for doing all of that, Brandon. You have a lot of information on this. That's amazing. And then also, I just want to say that I think that this is like a really interesting idea and project because, like you guys were saying, there's kind of and especially like Emily was saying, there's kind of like a whole wide open world of different ways you can go about something like this. So yeah, I think this is interesting. It could have a lot of very interesting applications. And thank you, Brandon. That's all.
Hi, so I just thought of this. I was like, oh, I should Google this, but Ithaca, New York has a bike share. And they are, I mean, in some ways they're very different than us because they're definitely a college town and they and they're denser. I've kind of done some research comparing Ithaca and Kingston, because I've kind of thought like, oh, like Ithaca is one of the towns that, maybe the most comparable town to Kingston that has like a fairly good transit system. But they are more dense and more compact as well in terms of the counties. It's a lot more concentrated close to the town rather than Ulster County is kind of like scattered all over. And you know, I guess I've come to terms with the fact that Kingston is not dense. It's really not dense. And I mean, I think it should be. I think we need to become more, we need to have denser housing. But right now it's not. And yeah, so anyway, I had lots of thoughts about it, but it could be good to look at Ithaca. I mean, they always have very like, they have a lot of progressive transportation things happening there too. So, yeah.
There are sidewalk comparison also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, my call to action is to have people do the survey,
Mhm.
help me get the word out. If you all, so the survey's open until May 2nd, we might extend that because there's a few events happening right after. But if you all think of like, if you think of a festival or an event to hop on to get the word out about, please send it to me.
Okay.
We may just do a pop-up. I'm thinking at maybe the Hannaford Bus Transit or maybe a People's Place or the Big Bubble. But I would, you know, if you think of another event, please let me know.
I mean, I would try to get these in our many bike shops.
Yeah.
Windows also, not the estimate.
Yeah. The bike
Is there a
shops,
way that I could get physical copies? I could also put some up around like the Kingston Library and Broadway Bubble, like you were saying, if you need.
yes, Ezra, please. Would you like to tell me now a time that we can connect, or do you want me just to email you and we'll find a way to connect? I can drop them off.
If you email me, I'm sure I can make pretty much anything work that works around your availability.
Oh my God, thank you. Awesome.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
All right, great, yeah, thanks. I echo what Ezra was saying about your good work you've done around this stuff, so.
Thank you.
We're interested to see what the conclusions are, because I do feel like there's a need for something. I just don't know what it is, because there's so many options, so I'm curious to see what the conclusions are at the end.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You had open discussion.
So, in terms of new business, a couple of items came up basically after we had already finalized the agenda. The first being the arrest of the woman who killed the person at the Y 2 years ago now, which was shocking, frankly, that I don't think anyone was really expecting an arrest at this point. So I don't know, I mean, I guess I saw you sent around, I saw it in the Freeman, you sent around the actual press release. I'm not sure if there's any other additional news about or information on why it took so long, or did something change? Did something new happen? Does anyone know anything? I don't know, I'm just kind of flabbergasted by the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all more questions than answers at this point. Yeah.
I mean, from what I have heard with other investigations that are occurring, whether they're crashes on our roads or any serious crimes, changes in state law have really required police departments to not disclose anything while the investigation is occurring until they're ready to actually submit those charges. And I apologize, I'm not terribly familiar with the legal process. Fortunately, I've never been involved in it. So that just requires our police departments to do a extremely thorough investigation, because as soon as that investigation is handed over to the DA, it triggers the discovery process, and the defense is then able to access all that information. So This is a common pattern. If you just pay attention to these serious crimes across the state, the police departments do not disclose anything until they're ready to seriously go submit everything to the DA.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Brian. That's really good to know. But it does make, I mean, I'm not expecting you to answer this, but it's kind of like, well, why would they say he wasn't in a crosswalk, you know, or why would they say, or when the crash we're talking about with Christine Tarasco happened 2 years ago, they said it was sun glare, you know, they'll just say these things that are, you know, I don't know why they would be saying things like that.
Yeah, it's kind of strange to come up with those statements, because then everyone's just like, okay, it's the sun glare, because that's all we had.
Yeah.
Instead of saying it's an ongoing investigation, then just leaving it at that or something. It's just, it's a strange tactic, if that's what it is.
Don't forget also that's getting filtered through another human at the reporter. Not that they're intentionally getting information wrong, but, you know, like, for example, my clean mobility plan was just put in the Kingston Wire, and I think they do fantastic reporting. But there was a few inaccuracies in that, or things that I don't agree with as a project manager. And so, who knows, maybe Chief Titty didn't mean it, or I don't know who said the quote, but maybe he didn't mean it as a statement for the police, but it's something someone was considering, and they picked that up as their own. So I just, you know,
Spitballing.
humans.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but I mean, I just think I think it does do harm for them to say that because it's basically blaming the victim and creates a public perception of, you know, victim blaming, I think, so. But yeah, I agree, it's, you know, we can't, people mess up, but yeah.
But it completely changes the whole narrative around this event now. This person was driving under the influence of drugs, cocaine, amongst other things possibly. It's just like a completely different story.
Okay.
Excellent. And son.
Can I share something on this topic actually?
Just a second, Ezra.
Sure.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I just posted the recent article and one of the original articles in the chat. They're shareable links from the Freedom, so anybody wants to read them.
Great, thank you. Go ahead, Ezra.
Oh yeah, no, I was just gonna say that I do agree with what Ella said though, that you know, I mean, for the many different reasons that things like that can happen, you know, it definitely when information gets, even speculative information, you know, gets put out, you know, oftentimes that it really can act as a kind of a megaphone in a way, you know, to the community that can turn into victim blaming very easily. I do agree with that. Just wanted to chime in.
And to Ella's point, in the Freeman article, it says in an email, they said that it was the sun glare, so I maybe retract my.
And then it does say the matter is still being investigated, which
Yes.
I guess we should all sort of take into consideration now when we read these things, that 2 years later it might come to fruition.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the 2022 article.
Right, yes.
Yeah, right, okay.
Thank you.
I should also just say that the crash report was never released in that interim, and I was always curious as to where people were getting their information from, because I receive crash reports from KPD on a weekly basis and try to review them, and that report is probably now going to be released, I would imagine, this week. And that was because the investigation was ongoing.
Wow. Yeah, well, I guess, you know, the quote about the sun glare aside, you know, the KPD just deserves a shout out for this investigation, which took 2 years and resulted in an arrest. So,
Yes.
I would imagine that the reference to the drugs and alcohol may be more of a factor than this. It could be also a factor, at least because they're mentioning it.
yeah. Did anyone else have anything they would like to say about this subject? All right, well, the next item, I guess there's an RFP out for the cameras. Ella, how did you
Yes.
discover that?
I think Tanya Garman sent me, the information about the RFP, so. Yeah, and I don't think I sent this to everybody, actually, I'm sorry, but, I'll send it later, but, yeah, so it says the city expects, this is just an excerpt, the city expects to enter into a revenue sharing agreement with the successful responder. And then the zones that that they've selected are Washington Avenue from Donovan Place to Elizabeth Street, Broadway from West O'Reilly Street to Andrew Street,
Wow, it is Broadway.
and that's by here, right?
Yeah, it's the
And
high
then
school.
West O'Reilly Street from Broadway to Kingston High School entrance.
Oh, so it's really only 2 spots, because one is just both sides.
One's a high
of the
school and one's the,
So,
yeah,
Washington.
so they're not going to Bailey or,
interesting.
Do you have are you looking at the RFP? Is there an RFP number? Usually it starts with a K.
sorry. RFPK, what's this, a photo? I have a PDF.
I like that it's gonna be done on Broadway. I think we had talked about how it probably wouldn't be, just because.
RFPK
um,
25-11 oh, yeah, 25-11.
I can't imagine that anyone's ever going the school zone speed limit on Broadway. That'll be really interesting to see the revenue from that. Will probably be pretty impressive.
But is it 25 miles an hour there?
Well, it's 25 miles an hour, yeah, but
But
the
it's not-
speed limit would be 15, right? Is that what the school speed limit is?
I don't think it's 15 by the high school. But I'm kind of, yeah, so yeah. It's interesting.
It
that
almost
they're
sounds
doing it
like
by
it's
the high
gonna
school,
be,
not that
there are gonna be a lot of
Yeah.
people who are very upset about that, if that is the case.
Oh, yeah.
So a quick Google search, this says the project will consist of replacing 30 cameras at 30 different locations, 1 camera per location. So that might be maybe multiple like cameras at an intersection?
300 cameras.
Could that? So,
And Wi-Fi. This might be like encompassing other sort of projects, like is this a sort of city-wide Wi-Fi sort of project?
oh,
that's
thank
Wi-Fi.
you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Maybe
Yes,
that's
that
wrong.
might not be the traffic cameras.
It's
You're right.
It's
Okay.
RFPK 2511.
Yeah, so,
What's up there?
yeah, I'm not sure.
Well, the thing you clicked on, right, photo speed,
I mean, I don't know what Bid Banana is.
bid
Feels
banana, that's where you
totally-
get your bids from.
Totally fake to me.
But look, that seems like it's the real deal.
Photo
Wow,
speed,
Okay, let me
got
send
questions, ask the
this to you
banana
guys.
bot.
yeah.
I'm
It says school zones.
gonna-
Three, yeah, 3 per, yeah. there you
Bid
go.
banana. I think they have files and everything.
I mean, I think it's public information. Oh, Amy.
I'm
has the
about to
contact.
email it to you.
Fascinating.
Wow, up to 2 million. Well, that's an estimate
Um,
made by AI, okay, never
So I think John Schultes would be the best person to ask for more information about that. You know, you could invite him next month to tell you more.
mind. The description seems legit.
Yeah, I think it's probably legit. It looks legit. I think Amy is just, not, I mean, just.
If you click on show more underneath.
Yeah, I was
it,
gonna suggest that. Thanks.
Scroll back up, oh, down.
Down a little,
Stop,
down a
and
little.
then bottom of where you are now.
There you go. There you go.
Okay, cool. Well, so now
Interesting.
now that this is out, now that this has been put out, I guess we were kind of like, we were talking about, well, I was bringing up the equity considerations, and I think we should really be communicating our recommendations about you know, just how we think the program should be implemented, we should be communicating that with John Schulteis, the mayor, the common council, and I'm not sure who else we should be talking to that about.
My memory was that John was receptive, and my memory was that he was like, please send me your recommendations.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Am I misremembering? I mean, it's my memory.
No, I don't.
That sounds.
I'm not saying you're wrong if you
Sounds
say it. Okay, so, yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, and I think the Vision Zero website did a really good job of, it seemed like a very comprehensive, list of recommendations. So
Yeah,
we could
no, I
kind of
remember
take
looking
from
at
that and send it.
Sure. I don't feel like that has to be like a formal letter, you know, if you wanna just, we can just email him, you know, he's.
You could do it in a number of different ways.
Yeah,
You could just email him links, you could literally bring things to his desk.
yeah,
You could write a formal letter,
yeah.
do a number, you could try one.
I mean, I feel like as an advisory council, I think we should be making it a little bit more formal. I mean, we could do it informally too, but I think we should be like, here's our recommendations and more formal, in my opinion. So,
Yeah, we can do that. This is probably the time to do it, I would imagine too, right?
yeah, I agree.
With the RFP out.
But then I just do the list.
And sorry, this is a list of recommendations to,
John,
yeah,
regarding the implementation of the speed cameras.
oh, just anything about it, where they.
Yeah, well, we had a document, there was, I think it was Safe Streets for All had put together that had
Vision Zero.
Vision Zero.
The recommendations.
Yeah, recommendations around speed camera programs.
So I can send out a draft of that. I don't know if anyone else, does anyone else want to work on that letter with me?
I'm happy to.
Okay, great, thanks. All right, so I'm just gonna. I'll text you.
Great. Was there any other last minute stuff that dropped right before the meeting that anyone wanted to bring up?
Yeah, a friend of mine was a former alderperson of Madison, Wisconsin, and set up a bike advocacy coalition there and was instrumental in getting the bike lanes plowed there. And I was like, oh, Madison, Wisconsin, that's a place with great pedestrian infrastructure and quite a lot of snow. I wonder if there are some lessons to be learned from their experience
Yeah.
and how they deal with infrastructure there. And so I wanted to, I mean, you know, I had a call with them and I took some notes, but I wanted to suggest that maybe sometime we could do a Q&A kind of thing. Have them on the Zoom and see what insights you might be able to share.
Sounds like a great idea. Yeah, everyone could come up with some questions, you know, ahead of it. Yeah, do you want to see if they'd be available at our next meeting to
Sure.
zoom in?
Yeah,
Or is that the one you're not gonna be at? You'll be there.
No, I'll be at the next
Okay, good. That seems like complicated zooming.
one.
So,
Sure,
all right.
I'll be at the next one.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, it's funny, when I was driving here for the meeting, I was coming, you know, off the roundabout onto Broadway, and there, the sort of area between the two lanes gets quite wide, but it's just striped, and I was like, it would be so nice if that was, you know, raised with trees on it, you know? I was just thinking, oh, the plowing, it's all about the plowing. But, yeah.
yeah. A lot of what he suggested was, you know, he was like, bollards aren't actually very good infrastructure, but curbs and creative use of curbs
Yeah,
is great. Ideally, you know, the dream is you have the, you know, traffic lane, 2 foot, traffic lane, little margin, curb, bike lane on top of the curb in asphalt, and then that's next to the sidewalk in concrete.
mhm,
And so the bike lane is actually
Yeah,
elevated.
it's closer to the,
Yeah.
makes sense,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right, and I mean, I feel like that's, in terms of just, state of mind, like the safest for people riding, because you feel like you're removed from the actual traffic, it's not just next to the traffic, you are a whole other removed from it, which I feel like that helps.
So. He also was another thing he mentioned that I thought was a very nice idea was what they, not roundabouts, but traffic circles, where you're legally allowed to turn left before the barrier in the middle, so that it can, and technically, that's legally allowed, so that the traffic circle can accommodate your largest design vehicles, fire trucks and that thing, while still being of a sufficient size to slow down most normal traffic. Because most people are just
Most
gonna
people won't think
treat it,
of that.
yeah, everybody's gonna treat it like a roundabout, but you can still get your fire trucks through.
Wait, I didn't understand.
Oh, that's
Can
cool.
you say that again?
Yeah, so you've got your barrier in the middle of the traffic circle, right? And so everybody's going.
Yes.
But the fire truck is if it needs to make a left turn, it can do that before the barrier to have this nice wide.
So it's not actually a roundabout, it's just like a little sort of,
Well, it's like a circle in the middle
Yeah.
of your intersection, you know?
yeah, I know they have those in Pennsylvania, like I think I've come across them there, where they're basically, it's like a two-way road and it just has like a little kind of, that's sort of roundabout in the middle of it, but it's
Yeah.
not like the ones we have that are all like,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like round and round.
No, yeah, it's like, yeah.
Yeah,
You can just put like a, yeah, you can just, I mean, I always talk about planter, but you could put a concrete planter in the middle and then just have you go around it.
So like so the optimal size, is something that forces through traffic to like slow down, go around, but also allows fire trucks to make a
It
left
kind of-
turn.
Yeah.
it reminds me of those, were they Danish, those roads, remember the roads that we love talking about so much?
The winder.
Yeah.
The,
Wiener,
Wiener-
the little, yeah, like, because they're like these little roads that have kind of like funny designs, they basically make you like kind of navigate around things, just to slow you down, really, that's like the point of them.
Are you all familiar with the little roundabouts on Raymond Ave in Poughkeepsie? I'm here, I've got the map up. Is this what you're
I
describing?
don't think so.
So over by Baxford, there's, on Raymond Ave, there's like a series of, there's a few of them. And they
Well, these-
force
That looks like the right idea.
the driver. Oh, and they've got beautiful brick.
So nice.
They've got a barrier, and then it's this like,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
is that what you're just, is that?
I think that's a lot bigger
That's-
of an intersection.
That's a single lane roundabout.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not what you're describing.
Yeah, I mean, there's sort of a continuum, right? From like, just imagine like a Vauxhall intersection,
Yeah,
taking a circular concrete barrier and dropping it into the middle of the intersection,
yeah.
That's like the minimal traffic circle. And this is lovely, but that's a roundabout, I'd say.
So, okay, so, here's a picture.
I think traffic circles are especially recommendable on like bike boulevard situations, where like, the road is intended to be a high bike traffic location.
Like
Yeah.
Hill here, or, I guess the one that is the street that goes by, I think, for the back of Frank Guido's that goes over Broadway.
That's Greek Hill.
That is Green, oh, yeah,
And it's
yeah, so
Fashion
like,
Lane next to
Right.
Green Hill over to the Cornell parking lot.
yeah, exactly, like that kind of, like along there, these would, sort of work, I suppose.
Yeah, okay, Emily, I just sent you a couple. I could send you more. But, this might be a good example.
Can I raise one other thing? Unless we're,
Yeah, we have time, it's time.
John in the last meeting mentioned a double elevator situation over the train track. Who's doing that?
The one near Greenkill? The one
Yeah,
by Greenkill?
I think the state. Or is it the,
When you say who's doing, so like the project manager, is that what you're asking?
sure, yeah.
I think it's probably John. Or it's not decided yet, or it's still very much in a rough planning stage. I do not think that the project is active. I think it's a project that's been talked about for a while now.
Cool.
Yeah.
I know, actually, I heard Brian mention something about it one time. I think the, how they're always cutting the holes in the hurricane fencing at the train tracks to
Yeah.
cross and that whole crossing.
Yeah, that fencing was installed as part of the Empire State Trail. But I believe the gentleman's referring to a different planning process to look at the feasibility of doing an actual pedestrian overpass from Greenkill to essentially landing behind the YMCA. And that's a really good question. My planner, Dave Stoss, was on that technical advisory committee, and I have not seen updates on that for a while. I've lost track of it as well. I think I thought there was a consultant hired. I thought there were some complications associated with the project. So I'm sorry, I don't have any updates.
It seems like a complicated project, a complicated solution to that problem. And I just thought,
And expensive.
yeah, chiefly extremely expensive for very low throughput and probably cheaper and better and more accessible alternatives. And, so it seems like the kind of thing that CSAC should maybe be keeping tabs on if it comes into more existence than it presently has.
Yeah.
I took some pictures of that little area, and I am gonna propose pretty soon. So, I'm gonna make a little mock-up of what I would envision for that.
Cool. I thought that might be a good example of how
Oh,
we
yeah,
make a
exactly,
left-hand
exactly.
turn.
So you're saying instead of going around it, the fire truck just takes a left there,
Yeah,
Totally.
the fire truck.
or they go straight through.
Oh,
They
yeah,
can
that's
just
what
go
happened.
all the
Got
way, yeah.
Now I understand what you're saying.
I mean, that's a pretty wide
Yeah,
street.
I mean, fire trucks do whatever they need to do.
Yeah, I mean, they could
Go
probably
wherever
roll
they
right over that little thing, honestly.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, anything like that would just make someone think twice. You're just gonna slow down because you have to navigate
Yeah.
something. I
Yeah.
think that's,
You can't, yeah, and if you speed through it, you're gonna. Yeah.
you mess your car up. So,
Yeah, I've seen these in Portland, Oregon too, and they work great. Some of them look like that, like they were very well cared for by the neighborhood and had nice gardens in them. Others were much more armored and had been hit a few times, but I thought they were very cool.
yeah, the Kingston ones will have to be built tough if we ever get there to withstand some
Yeah.
hits. All right, we can move on to the announcements. Let's Bike HV.
Yeah, can I talk about that? This is a multi-year event, or like done this multiple years in a row. This year, Phil Green, who's come to this meeting, is helping them lead the ride. It's going to be the kickoff for his bicycle rides this year. So it's May 8th. It's happening at the Rainbow Dream Garden Snake, which is the garden at Rundown Gardens down
Oh, yeah.
9W, and I'm blanking on that.
Is it going up the rail trail? It's right there, right?
Yeah, so and there's a bike fix it station, and Utility Bikes is gonna be there doing free tune-ups. They're gonna have swag that they're giving away. So it's gonna be a really great event. So come on out May 8th at 4:30, but the tune-ups start at 3:30. And it's only a 6-mile ride. I think they're gonna go up Sojourner Truth, maybe up to the avenues and then back. So a pretty manageable route. Well, I think many abilities will be able to do it. Then they're asking everyone to register on their website. But just want to say that the two other ones we've talked about before, I don't know that I need to say them again today, but I'm leaving them on there.
Sure, great. Brian just sent a link to something in the chat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, our Emily sent this around a couple of weeks ago to Travel Well. Thank you for doing that, Emily. But the UCTC is updating our long-range transportation plan. It's the year 2050 long-range transportation plan. We do a 25-year look into the future and try to assess transportation needs. It's an interesting process. We're required to do this every 5 years. And so as part of it, we have a survey that we're issuing that will be open through June. So please share. We'll be doing some more outreach to get the word out on the survey. I think we have 200 responses already, which is great for a UCTC survey, but I want to see a lot more for this effort. And we'll begin to start to do some tabling at events to publicize the survey and the effort. So the goal is to have a completed long-range transportation plan by September 2025. The purpose of the plan, short and simple, is to guide how our transportation investment decisions are made over the course of the next 25 years. And the survey will have an opportunity for the public to weigh in on how those investments are made.
The survey has a cool budgeting thing where people get to allocate funds how they'd like to see it. I think that's a really neat feature.
Yeah, thank you.
That's really cute. I like that actually.
Yeah, I think I filled that one out. I forget all the surveys I do.
We're constantly trying to tell folks that, listen, we don't receive many dollars, so please tell us where you think we should invest this limited money. And so that, yeah, I'm really interested to see what the results are. So thanks for your assistance.
That reminds me that the Ulster County Planning Department is doing the Midtown Linear Park. That's not the name. That's what I'm calling it. I'm on the project advisory committee for this. I believe Kristen Wilson is the project manager. I don't see her name right here, but they just announced, I think they just started a survey for this. Take the pre-designed survey. So if you go to participate Ulster County, this is another survey that the county would like your feedback on. So this space, I think it goes from Cornell Street to Downs, is like a landscape and planning project for that segment of the linear park. So please go check that out.
It's like where the Kingston Film Foundation they showed a movie there,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yep.
Yeah, okay, that's a nice little area.
And, there's a potential for this space. It's just planning. We don't know yet if there are funds for implementation, but the idea is deciding what could go in this space to really activate it and to be adopted.
Okay. Did you send that around to everyone?
I did not send this one.
Could you?
Sure.
Yeah,
happy to.
great.
I'll send it to Complete Streets. I have a list of people that are interested in transportation, but I'm gonna send this one just to Complete Streets.
Okay. Yeah. Let's take a look. It's on the rail trail.
I try not to send them.
All right, great. I think that's everything. Is there anything else that anyone would like to bring up before we adjourn?
Can I ask a quick question about the rail trail actually, if anyone knows?
Sure.
So on the area that they were asking about the park on, it was when it was, I think it was towards the end of last summer. There was a day when my husband and I were biking on the rail trail to go to his job at Hannaford, and we saw that there was actually like a bunch of people were doing like vendors and stuff, had like tents, and they were like serving, some people were serving donuts, and there were some people playing music, and other people had some other food or something. Is there like, are there other, is that maybe one of the things that this is kind of asking about, like the potential for there being more like pop-up commerce and stuff on the linear park? Because I think that was fantastic. There was a lot of people out that day.
interesting, I wonder which event you're thinking of. Yeah, so there's a few different things. Yeah, this project that I was just talking about will, I think they were asking us at our PAC meeting, what kind of programming you'd like to see in that space, so that's, people love the idea of like food festivals and those things.
Uh-huh.
So I think that's absolutely part of it. Also, the Green Line Leadership Committee is talking about that, and we hope to in the future, encourage more of that across the whole Green Line system. So there's some.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so there's conversations about like, do we try to list the events that are happening on the Green Line on this website that takes staff capacity? So we're trying to figure it out, but there's some conversations about that. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, I know the city has sort of an interesting relationship with food trucks, and I know that the Common Council has sort of taken up the issue at times, and
I believe it's up again.
Yeah.
Common Council again right now.
it seems like it could, work well if they don't like where they currently are or how they're being handled now, to use some of that space for some of the food trucks, if the food trucks would be amenable to that. I don't know, that's obviously not in our kind of wheelhouse, but seems like it could be a solution.
I can make a plug for Post Office Park. If you are sort of behind Dallas, there's like basically a spot for like 1 or 2 parking spots against the park.
Oh, yeah.
The whole point of that little cut-in was that a food truck could park there.
Oh, great.
So a little shout out we were trying to plan for that.
Yeah.
Post Office Park.
Yeah, that could be fun.
Again, I think it sort of comes back to density a little bit again, like I've been involved in a lot of different festivals and fairs over the years, and, there's a lot of work that goes into them, and then sometimes it's disappointing when not everybody comes. So, I feel like, I don't know about the food trucks, but I feel like they have to be pretty targeted in what they do.
And then, also you're gonna be right behind Dallas Hot Wings, which is probably not gonna love you.
Dallas, so I don't know how they feel about that.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's tricky,
Yeah.
but I think,
Another cool thing is Deep Stadium, the new pavilion was designed for the idea that there more food trucks could be used there. So that's another interesting thing about food trucks.
have those tours happened? I think they're supposed to have sort of tours of the new stadium.
No, that's coming up in a couple of
Okay,
weeks.
because I never go over there. I never went to the old one, never been to the new one, and I thought it would be actually interesting to actually see all this work that was done in it and have someone tell me about all the new things to get an appreciation of it.
Yeah, that's coming up in May. They're doing, and it's one reason to go and do the tour is that they will take you into the inside of the building where the students like the changing rooms. So that's not usually kind of a public space. It's a Saturday. I'm looking for it. It's the same date as the first Stockade soccer game, which is very exciting. I can't find that date right now, but I'm gonna say it's one of the Saturdays.
Keep an eye out for it.
Yeah.
All right, great. Well, thanks, everyone. I think we're gonna take a walk down Flatbush. Still a plan?
Yeah, anyone who wants to come.
All right, great. So we're gonna tour Flatbush Avenue and then end with a beverage, if one so desires, at Unicorn Bar. So obviously, I don't know if anyone on the Zoom, I think Ezra said he wouldn't be able to, but if anyone would like to meet us there, you're free to.
I was going to, but I have a sore throat and a headache, so I don't think I'd be good company. I'm really annoyed because I really wanted to meet people in person another time.
All right, well, maybe when the weather's nicer, we'll get.
Yeah.
Actually,
Cold, yeah.
Yeah.
maybe
But-
for one of the summer meetings, y'all could come to my backyard and we could have a little, backyard, because I'm literally right in Midtown. It's very easy to get.
Yeah, that'd be great. We can definitely discuss that and the weather gets nicer. Thank you. All right, well, with that, I guess I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
All right. There we go. All right, thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Okay, y'all have fun.
All right.
Bye, everybody.